Curious about teen life in the 70s and 80s? Discover iconic trends like roller discos and mixtapes. When did you last see a CB radio? Stay tuned to rediscover it all. The 70s weren't complete without roller discos. Teens would gather at roller rinks, dressed in colorful outfits with flared jeans and disco shirts. The music, funk, disco, and early rock. But roller discos were more than just a fun activity. They became a symbol of teenage freedom and expression. Skating in circles under colorful lights wasn't just a pastime. It was a way to show off, make friends, and even find romance. Many teens would spend their weekends perfecting their moves, creating a culture that brought together fashion, music, and social interactions in a way that had never been seen before. These events also gave teens a sense of identity. Roller skating styles varied from fast-paced jams to synchronized group dances. The rink was a place where teens could escape their everyday lives and feel part of something larger. Roller discos weren't just about skating. They embodied the spirit of the 70s youth, carefree, bold, and full of life. Fashion in the early 80s was a powerful way for teens to express themselves. Preppy styles were popular, with polo shirts, khakis, and blazers being the go-to look for those wanting to fit in. But punk fashion made an equally bold statement, with ripped jeans, leather jackets, and colorful hairstyles. The battle between preppy and punk wasn't just about clothes. It reflected deeper cultural divides. Teens used their fashion choices to make statements about who they were and what they believed in. High school hallways became mini runways, with every outfit telling a story about the wearer's personality and social group. For many teens, fitting in was important, but others wanted to rebel against societal norms. Accessories like pins, chains, and colorful bracelets were key identifiers. Whether teens chose to embrace mainstream trends or push boundaries, fashion in the early 80s was about more than style. It was a form of self-expression and a way to navigate social circles. By the mid-80s, malls had become the ultimate teenage hangout spot. Teens didn't just go to shop, they went to see and be seen. The mall offered a place where they could escape parental supervision and experience a sense of independence. Groups of friends would wander the aisles, stop by record stores, and grab food at the food court. For many teens, the mall was where social hierarchies played out. Who you were seen with and where you hung out mattered. The mall culture also shaped consumer trends, with teens influencing everything from fashion to music, making them a key demographic for advertisers. Popular stores like The Gap, Sam Goody, and Hot Topic became iconic teen destinations. Window shopping and people watching were just as important as making purchases. The mall provided a mix of freedom, social interaction, and entertainment that defined teenage life in the 80s. It became a central part of youth culture, influencing trends that spread far beyond its walls. House parties were the highlight of many teens' weekends. These gatherings, often unsupervised, were where lifelong memories were made. Teens would bring their favorite vinyl records or cassette tapes, and music would set the tone for the night. Dancing, laughing, and connecting with friends created a sense of belonging. Without smartphones to document every moment, teens lived fully in the present. These parties were also a rite of passage, where friendships were strengthened and crushes were revealed. Despite the carefree atmosphere, there was always an underlying tension of keeping things under control to avoid unwanted attention from neighbors or parents. Music played a vital role in these parties, with teens often debating over which records to play next. Drinks and snacks were passed around, and games like Spin the Bottle added an element of excitement. These parties were more than just social events. They represented the freedom and thrill of growing up in a time when everything felt possible. Drive-in theaters were a quintessential teenage experience in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't just about the movie playing on the big screen. It was about the atmosphere. Teens would pack their cars with friends, snacks, and blankets, making a night of it. The drive-in was a popular date spot, offering a mix of privacy and a shared experience. For many, the drive-in was where first kisses happened, and friendships grew stronger. The sense of freedom that came with driving to the theater and staying out late made it a memorable part of growing up in these decades. Movie choices often reflected the mood of the times, from horror flicks to romantic comedies. Some teens even skipped the movies altogether, using the experience as a backdrop for socializing. The large outdoor screens, the crackling sound of the speakers, and the sight of cars lined up created a magical atmosphere, that encapsulated the spirit of teenage adventure and freedom. Teen bedrooms in the 70s were personal sanctuaries, decorated with posters of rock stars like David Bowie, Led Zeppelin, and Fleetwood Mac. Every room had its own personality, reflecting the teens' interests and tastes. Record players were essential, filling the room with music that defined their generation. Lava lamps, shag carpets, and beanbag chairs completed the look. Bedrooms were more than just a place to sleep. They were a retreat from the outside world. Teens would spend hours in their rooms, listening to music, writing in journals, or chatting on rotary phones with friends. The decor of these rooms often reflected broader cultural trends, with psychedelic patterns and bold colors being popular. For many teens, their bedroom was the one place where they felt they had control. It was a space to dream, plan their futures, and express themselves without judgment. This personalization made teen bedrooms an iconic part of growing up in the 70s. The 70s and 80s were a time of significant social change, and many teens were actively involved in protests and activism. They marched against war, nuclear weapons, and for civil rights, making their voices heard. For these teens, activism was a way to take control of their future. Schools and communities became hubs for organizing protests and spreading awareness. Teenagers were passionate about their causes, often clashing with older generations who held more traditional views. Protests weren't just about shouting slogans. They were moments of solidarity, where teens felt they could make a difference. Activism also taught teens important lessons about leadership and resilience. Many young activists from this era went on to become influential leaders in various fields. Their activism laid the groundwork for future social movements, showing that youth had the power to create meaningful change. The rebellious spirit of these teens continues to inspire new generations of activists today. The late 70s and early 80s saw the rise of arcade culture, which became a new social space for teens. Games like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Space Invaders drew crowds of teenagers eager to compete for high scores. Arcades were more than just places to play games. They were social hubs where friendships were formed and rivalries developed. Teens would spend hours at the machines, often pooling their money for tokens. The arcade experience was immersive, with flashing lights and upbeat music creating an atmosphere of excitement. For many, the arcade became a second home. Beyond the games, arcades were places where teens could escape daily life and connect with others who shared their interests. It wasn't just about winning, it was about being part of a community. As technology evolved, arcade culture began to fade, but its impact on youth culture remained significant. Record stores were a vital part of teenage life in the 70s and 80s. Teens would spend hours flipping through vinyl records, discovering new artists and bonding over shared musical tastes. Owning a record collection was a source of pride, and many teens would save up their allowance just to buy a single album. Record stores were more than just places to buy music. They were community spaces where teens could express their identities. The store clerks often became trusted sources of music recommendations, and the social interactions within these stores helped shape the music culture of the time. Browsing records wasn't just shopping, it was an experience. Teens debated over bands, explored different genres, and shared discoveries with friends. Record store hangouts became iconic, representing a time when music was physical, personal, and deeply embedded in social life. It was a unique period when music lovers formed real-world communities around their shared passion. Getting a summer job was a rite of passage for many teens in the 70s and 80s. Whether working at diners, movie theaters, or mowing lawns, these jobs taught responsibility and provided a sense of independence. Teens would often save their earnings for cars, clothes, or concert tickets, marking their transition into adulthood. Summer jobs were also social experiences, where teens could make new friends and learn valuable life skills. The experience of earning their own money gave teens a taste of the real world, preparing them for the responsibilities of adult life. Jobs like lifeguarding or babysitting became iconic roles for teens. These experiences were more than just about money. They were about learning accountability, time management, and how to navigate the adult world. Summer jobs provided a sense of pride and achievement, making them a memorable part of growing up in those decades. In the 70s and 80s, local diners and cafes became the social epicenters for teens. These places were ideal for hanging out after school, grabbing milkshakes, and catching up with friends. Unlike today's coffee shops, diners in those decades had a cozy charm that made teens feel like they belonged. Cafes played rock music on jukeboxes, and many teens loved spending their pocket money on their favorite songs. Friendships were built over shared meals, and for some it was even the setting for first dates. Diners became more than just places to eat. They were social hubs where teens could escape the pressures of home and school. The atmosphere was relaxed and welcoming, with familiar faces behind the counter. Teens would often gather in groups, sharing stories, laughing, and making plans. These cafes and diners provided a slice of independence and freedom, making them an iconic part of teenage life in those decades. By the late 70s, skateboarding had exploded as a subculture among teens. What started as a niche activity grew into a worldwide phenomenon. Teens built makeshift ramps in backyards and abandoned pools, carving out their identities as rebellious and creative individuals. The fashion that came with skateboarding was equally influential, with graphic tees, ripped jeans, and Vans sneakers becoming iconic. Skateboarding wasn't just a sport. It was a lifestyle that represented freedom, creativity, and nonconformity. It gave teens a sense of belonging to a community that thrived outside the mainstream. The tricks, the style, and the culture were all about pushing boundaries and breaking rules. Skateboarding culture fostered a sense of independence and confidence in those who embraced it. For many teens, skateboarding became a way to escape the confines of traditional sports and express themselves in a more unique and rebellious way. It wasn't just about the tricks, it was about the lifestyle. Polaroid cameras revolutionized how teens captured memories. Instant photos meant they didn't have to wait days for film to develop. This quick gratification made Polaroid cameras popular at parties and events. Teens loved documenting their lives through photos, capturing moments with friends and family. Decorating bedrooms with Polaroid pictures became a trend, turning walls into personal photo galleries. Unlike today's digital photos, Polaroid images had a tangible quality, making them special keepsakes that teens cherished. The excitement of seeing a picture develop before their eyes added a magical element to photography. Teens would often use Polaroids to capture candid moments, creating an authentic snapshot of their lives. The instant nature of these cameras made them perfect for social gatherings, where teens could capture memories and share them instantly. Polaroid photos became treasured mementos, reminding teens of the good times they shared with friends and family. High school sports were a massive part of teenage life. From football to basketball, participating in sports teams brought a sense of pride and camaraderie. Cheerleading squads were equally iconic, with cheerleaders becoming symbols of school spirit. Game nights were major events, where entire communities would come together to support their teams. For teens, being part of a team or cheer squad gave them a sense of identity and belonging. The friendships formed through sports often lasted a lifetime. Beyond the games, the sense of accomplishment and teamwork learned on the field helped shape the character of many teens. Being part of a team also taught valuable life skills, such as discipline, leadership, and perseverance. The rituals surrounding high school sports, from pep rallies to post-game celebrations, created unforgettable memories. For many teens, sports and cheerleading were more than just extracurricular activities. They were a way of life. In the late 70s and early 80s, boomboxes were the ultimate symbol of teenage independence. Teens would carry them around, blasting their favorite tunes wherever they went. Boomboxes became a portable way to share music, turning any gathering into an impromptu dance party. The larger the boombox, the cooler the teen. These devices weren't just for playing music, they were statements of identity. The music teens played reflected their personalities and moods, making boomboxes an essential part of youth culture. Boomboxes also became a symbol of rebellion, as teens often played their music loudly in public spaces. They were an extension of a teen's personality, allowing them to share their tastes and connect with others through music. Whether at the park, on the street, or at a party, boomboxes brought people together. The portability of these devices changed how teens consumed music, making it a shared social experience rather than a solitary one. Teen magazines like Tiger Beat and 17 were hugely popular among teenagers. These magazines featured the latest fashion trends, relationship advice, and interviews with pop stars. Teens would often cut out posters and pin them on their bedroom walls. Magazines provided a glimpse into the lives of celebrities and served as a guide to navigating teenage life. They offered everything from beauty tips to quizzes, helping teens explore their identities. Many teens looked forward to getting the latest issue, flipping through pages filled with gossip, style inspiration, and advice columns. The posters were prized possessions, often covering entire walls and bedrooms. These magazines also fueled pop culture trends, influencing music, movies, and fashion. They created a connection between fans and their favorite stars, making celebrities feel more relatable. For teens, these magazines were more than just entertainment. They were a reflection of their dreams, struggles, and aspirations in a rapidly changing world. Getting a driver's license was a significant milestone for teens. In the 70s and 80s, cars symbolized freedom. Teens would pile into their cars, cruise around town, and explore new places. The type of car you drove mattered. Muscle cars and convertibles were particularly coveted. Owning a car wasn't just about transportation. It was a status symbol and a way to express individuality. Teens would customize their vehicles with decals, paint jobs, and sound systems to make them stand out. Cruising became a social activity, with friends gathering in parking lots or driving down main streets. Music was an essential part of car culture, with teens blasting their favorite tunes from cassette decks or radio stations. For many, their first car represented newfound independence and the freedom to explore the world beyond their neighborhoods. Car culture defined a rite of passage for teens, symbolizing adventure, rebellion, and the transition into adulthood. Beach trips were a staple of teenage summers. Teens would gather their friends, pack snacks, and head to the nearest beach for a day of fun in the sun. Surf culture became closely tied to beach trips, with many teens trying their hand at surfing. Even those who didn't surf would enjoy beach bonfires, swimming and lounging on the sand. The beach represented freedom, adventure, and the carefree spirit of youth. Teens would spend hours basking in the sun, playing beach volleyball, or simply relaxing with their favorite music playing in the background. Bonfires became iconic evening events, with teens roasting marshmallows, telling stories, and enjoying the warm summer nights. Beach trips also became a place for new friendships and summer romances to blossom. The ocean, the waves, and the endless horizon symbolized the boundless possibilities of youth. For many teens, beach trips created lasting memories of freedom, joy, and connection with friends. The rise of video rental stores in the 80s changed how teens consumed movies. Friday nights often meant a trip to the local video store to pick out the latest releases. Watching rented movies at home with friends became a popular pastime. Teens would gather for movie marathons, complete with popcorn and snacks. The excitement of browsing through rows of VHS tapes, choosing the perfect film, and rushing home to watch it was a shared experience. Video rentals also allowed teens to explore different genres and discover new favorite films. Horror movies, comedies, and action flicks were among the most rented. Video stores became community hubs where teens would bump into friends and exchange movie recommendations. For many, renting a movie was a weekly ritual that brought people together. The experience of picking a movie, rewinding the tape, and returning it on time added an element of responsibility and nostalgia to teenage life. Live music was an integral part of teenage life. Teens would save up money to buy tickets to concerts and music festivals. Seeing their favorite bands perform live was a dream come true for many. Music festivals became iconic events, bringing together teens from different backgrounds to celebrate their shared love of music. The energy and excitement of live performances created unforgettable memories. Concerts were more than just entertainment. They were a way for teens to connect with their favorite artists and fellow fans. Teens would dress up in band merchandise, wave lighters during ballads, and sing along to every word. Music festivals were places of freedom and expression, where teens could immerse themselves in the culture of their favorite bands. These events also shaped the social landscape, with friendships and even romances forming in the crowd. For many teens, attending concerts was a rite of passage, symbolizing their passion for music and their transition into adulthood. Before video games took over, pinball machines were the go-to entertainment for teens. Found in arcades, diners, and even laundromats, these machines offered a thrilling mix of skill and luck. Teens would gather around pinball machines to show off their skills and compete for high scores. The flashing lights, mechanical sounds, and fast-paced action made pinball machines irresistible. For many teens, pinball became more than just a game. It was a social experience. Players would share tips, cheer each other on, and even form friendships over their shared love of the game. The rise of arcades in the late 70s helped boost the popularity of pinball machines, making them a staple of teen hangouts. Although pinball's popularity waned with the arrival of video games, it remains an iconic part of 70s and 80s youth culture. Pinball machines represented fun, competition, and a sense of community that teens cherished. CB radios, or citizens band radios, became a surprising trend among teens in the late 70s and early 80s. Originally used by truckers, CB radios allowed users to communicate over short distances. Teens embraced this technology as a way to connect with friends without using the family phone line. They'd adopt unique handles or nicknames and create their own slang. Conversations ranged from casual chats to organizing meetups or cruising plans. For many teens, CB radios were a symbol of freedom and rebellion, allowing them to connect with the world beyond their immediate surroundings. The popularity of CB radios was boosted by movies like Smokey and the Bandit and songs like Convoy. CB culture also gave rise to a sense of adventure and camaraderie among users. Teens would often stay up late chatting with strangers or friends, creating a unique subculture that thrived on connection, humor, and shared experiences. Denim jackets became a fashion staple for teens in the 70s and 80s. These jackets weren't just a piece of clothing, they were a canvas for self-expression. Teens would customize their denim jackets with patches, pins, and embroidery, making each jacket unique. Popular patches included band logos, political slogans, and personal statements. Denim jackets symbolized rebellion and individuality, with many teens wearing them as a way to break away from traditional fashion norms. They were versatile and could be worn with anything, from jeans to dresses. Teens would often trade patches or create their own designs, adding a personal touch to their jackets. The denim jacket trend crossed various subcultures, from rockers to punks, making it a unifying fashion statement. For many teens, their denim jacket became a cherished item, representing their personality, beliefs, and memories from their formative years. Bowling alleys were a popular hangout spot for teens in the 70s and 80s. Bowling wasn't just a sport, it was a social activity that brought friends together. Teens would form bowling leagues, compete in tournaments, or simply enjoy casual games with friends. The atmosphere of a bowling alley, with its neon lights, music, and snack bars, made it a fun and welcoming place. Many teens loved the thrill of knocking down pins and celebrating strikes with high fives. Bowling alleys also became a place for first dates and group outings. The mix of friendly competition and social interaction made bowling nights a memorable part of teenage life. Even those who weren't skilled bowlers enjoyed the experience, bonding with friends over shared laughs and snacks. Bowling alleys provided a sense of community and fun that teens appreciated, making them an iconic part of 70s and 80s youth culture. Before streaming playlists, teens in the 70s and 80s created mixtapes to share their favorite songs. These cassette tapes were carefully curated collections of tracks, often made as gifts for friends or crushes. Making a mixtape required time and effort, from selecting the perfect songs to recording them in the right order. Mixtapes became a way for teens to express their feelings and showcase their musical tastes. They were deeply personal and often reflected the emotions of the creator. Receiving a mixtape was a special gesture, symbolizing friendship or romance. Teens would decorate the cassette covers with artwork or handwritten notes, adding a personal touch. Mixtapes also became a way to discover new music, with friends exchanging tapes and introducing each other to different bands and genres. The process of making and sharing mixtapes created lasting memories and strengthened friendships, making them a beloved part of teen culture. The 70s and 80s were about freedom, music, and friendship. These rare photos remind us how teens lived in a world without screens, immersed in unforgettable moments and cultural shifts. If you enjoyed this journey through time, like, comment, and subscribe for more nostalgic stories and rare photos. What's your favorite 70s or 80s memory? Let us know below.